One of the aspects of spirituality I really struggle with is the way in which people use the word ego. I mean, the ego is basically the I, but it's used in all sorts of ways. So it's hard to even discuss it sometimes. To me, we need ego, we need the separate self, we need the individuality, we need the personal. And it has evolved for a reason. It's like with my kids, I'm not there going, don't develop a separate self, that'll be crazy. Don't develop an ego, don't develop a mind, all these crazy things. I want, you know, my daughter is just about to leave to university and well, she's gone. And I want her to be an independent, separate, distinct human being. That's what she wants, a strong woman. That's what she needs to become and is. Yet in spirituality, all of that's seen as like, you know, there's this thing in you. And it's a horrible idea. There's a thing in you which wants to stop you waking up. Because if you wake up, it will die. That's the basic message which I hear. And therefore it will fight you. Well, who's the you it's fighting? It's all very confusing. You've set up you've set up this war between the two, and I went along with that for quite a while because everyone seemed to say it. But I think the opposite now. It feels to me we're on an evolutionary journey. Part of that evolution, just in a lifetime, is to develop a healthy body and then develop a healthy separate self. And your primary responsibility, especially before you have family, is for yourself. And you need a strong ego for that. You need a strong sense of yourself. You need to develop some confidence in your ability to function on the journey, and you need to develop the character of your soul so that you can withstand the avalanche of challenges which life will undoubtedly throw at you. And you need to build support systems to help you and all of that. So that a healthy ego is a really good thing. Here's what's not a good thing. Egotism. If you've just got the ego and you're only thinking of yourself, actually you're out of kilter with reality, because reality is not just yourself. Reality is you in relation to everything. That's reality. So a healthy ego is a strong individual in relationship to the rest. And as that develops, if it's strong enough, then I think you can transcend the ego altogether, but not transcend it and dismiss it or destroy it, but to use that lovely phrase of the philosopher Ken Wilber, you transcend it and include it. So that transcend is a lovely word because it's bigger than, rises up and holds the other thing within it. And then the ego becomes greater. It becomes not only something which supports you, but it becomes in the service of something greater which you're discovering, in the service of God or love or the one or whatever you give to the transcendent. So then the ego becomes the servant of that, and that's what it should be. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But what I see is that if people start waking up and their ego is not strong, it's not formed enough, then they can crumble. And what would otherwise be a transcendent experience becomes a pathology. And this is where Carl Jung talked about various psychological problems as failed initiations, which is a very interesting way of putting it. So the idea is that you've been initiated into this greater state, but you're not ready for it. And you come crashing down. So that actually, you know, the waking up without the strong embodiment is actually problematic. So and again, it's this horrendous anti-life and anti-humanity part of traditional spirituality, because it means that we're constantly having a down on ourselves. And if you're told there's something in you which is bad, it's not easy to, it's easy to agree with that, isn't it? Because we're all, one of the lines I use a lot, we're all great souls and we're all assholes. That's the truth. That's the actual truth. And if we can live with that polarity, there's part of us which is just beautiful as it is, because it just is. And then there's another part of us which is on an evolutionary journey. And part of being on an evolutionary journey is constantly discovering how unconscious you've been last week. And hopefully that goes on to, the end of your life. What could be better, really? I mean, it sounds distressing, but what could be better than to look back at your life right at the end and go, oh, now I see. Wow, I've wasted the whole thing. In a way, what a shame. But in another way, that's because you've just seen a whole load that you didn't see before. And being with my mum, I could see that. She did that to an extent. I think a lot of people do, because it really wakes you up when you're facing death. And you suddenly go, oh my God, I see what really mattered. and I paid attention to it a bit. And now I want to pay attention, you know, it's like, oh, right, I got it. Yeah, right, love really mattered, you know. My mum certainly paid attention to that. So my feeling is, look, hurrah for the ego. The ego is the hero of the journey, not the enemy. It's the hero. But like any hero, if you turn to the dark side, it becomes a villain. But if you keep it healthy and you use it in the right way, it's absolutely necessary. And let's support each other in the development of that, of the ego, and then the transcending of it into something greater when we're ready.